Well, I've got 1 o'clock. I guess I could get started. I'll start slowly as people are joining rapidly at this point. But happy Friday, everyone. Is it Friday? Yes, Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. This is our 5th and final workshop. We're going to be talking about making a class your own. The most common way to start with MOER is to start with a copy of someone else's course. So once you do that, you know what are the steps you should take to make it your own. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to basically share kind of what I share with people when I do training, and my colleagues might jump in with other ideas as well. So we'll all kind of share best practices on that, and then hopefully we'll have plenty of time where we can answer any questions that you have as you start to think about getting your fall courses ready. I know I don't want to think about that yet, but at some point we're going to have to think about it, and probably better sooner than later. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my screen at this point. So let's say you have copied a course from somebody. Then the first thing you want to do is go through it and make sure it's the way you want. You also kind of want to remove maybe some personal things. Like, for example, if you copy one of my courses, you're going to have my Seth logo here. If it's your course, you probably don't want a Seth logo on it. So that would be something you'd want to edit or remove. And again, it's very easy to change things on MOER. You just look for this little gearbox. Okay. And like, let's say you wanted to just delete this, you just select delete and it's gone. If you wanted to maybe modify it and replace the Seth logo, if you have your own logo, then you would just hit modify and you would go in here and delete the Seth picture and add your own picture. You could add your own college logo, kind of whatever you want. But it's very easy to edit anything in a course that you've copied from somebody else, but make sure you do that. It's going to be kind of weird if your students start the course and they're like, who's this guy? Is this my teacher? You know, you want to make sure that you've made the course your own. And you don't want the course to say Mesa Community College if you're not at Mesa Community College, for example. So make sure you take the time to, you know, go through and edit your course. So somebody who's in there knows that it's your course. Okay. Most of what you're going to want to edit probably has to do with the homework assignments. Okay. So you're going to want to look at the homework assignments and make sure that they're what you would normally want in a homework assignment. So again, I'm using this little gearbox. And if you want to see what questions are on the homework, you're just going to click on questions. Okay. So this is kind of the back door. This isn't what the homework looks like for students, but this is what it looks like for the person who's designing the homework assignment. An easy way to go through and see what the problems look like is just hit preview next to the first problem. And then you can use right up here, there's a previous and next link right up at the top. You can just click through that next link to look at all the problems that are in this homework assignment. And you can decide if you like them or if you don't like them. Okay, so this is a quick way to go through and see what homework is there. If you decide there are problems that you don't like, you can just check the box on the left next to that problem, and you can just hit remove, and that'll take those problems out of the assignment. Okay, so let's say you want to add some new problems. So maybe there are homework problems that you like that aren't on here. Okay, don't despair. We're going to get those on there. So the first thing you're going to do is scroll down. So the way this works is the first section, these are the questions that are in the assessment right now. And then if you go down, basically what you have below here, it says potential questions. This is the question library. Okay. And if you're looking for new problems, it just works on keyword search. So let's say we wanted to add a problem. I was just playing on here earlier. Let's say you wanted to add a problem about combinations. Okay. So you're just going to type combinations in the box. You want to make sure this box is checked. By default, it is unchecked for some reason. So you're always going to have to check that box. And you're going to hit search. And again, you're going to have to scroll back down to that second part. These are all the problems in the question library that have the word combinations in them. Okay. Again, if you want, you can hit the preview button on the first problem. And again, you can use this next link at the top and the previous link to cycle through every problem that says combinations and see which ones you like. If you find one that you like, you can just check this box. Notice when I checked this box, it checked it on this list over here. And then I can keep looking through these. And if I find another one I like, I can check that box. And then once we're done, we're going to have several that are checked. And we'll be able to just close out this window. And we're going to hit add using defaults. Add using defaults will make sure that like these new problems have the same amount of points as the problems that are already there. So I would recommend you choose add using defaults. Okay. Now, there might be thousands of problems here, and you don't have time to cycle through all of them. So how do we know which one of these problems to look at? So one thing that's really nice about this, all of these column headings, these are all sortable. Didn't find the right word there for a second. These are all sortable. So usually what I recommend for people is to do a couple of things. Number one, you can sort by the number of times used. Okay, that's a sortable column. So a problem that's been used 2,000 times is probably a good problem. If it wasn't a good problem, people wouldn't have used it almost 2,000 times. So if you want, you could start by sorting this column and just focus on the problems that people use a lot. Okay. And then the other thing I like to do is sort by the question ID, because I don't want to discount new problems that people have written, because obviously if it's a new problem, it's not going to be used as much, but new problems might be really good. Maybe somebody had a good idea. So you can sort by the question ID. And again, the bigger the number, the newer the problem. Okay, so you would want this sorted from high to low. Again, the new problems haven't been used a lot, but you should look at those and try them out. Again, if it's a new problem, you probably want to try it a few times to make sure it's working correctly. But I like to look at new problems as well as the problems that have been used a lot. If you're somebody that's written a bunch of problems and you're having trouble finding them, you can also sort this mine column, and that'll bring the questions that you wrote to the top. So it looks like I've written 5 problems about combinations, and that's an easy way to find them if you don't remember what the question ID was. I know I do this a lot because I remember I wrote a problem and I can't find it. So I'll just kind of sort this column to find mine. Okay. Average time. This doesn't really kick in until a problem has been used a lot. I don't know exactly what that number is, but for questions that have been used a lot, it'll tell you the average time a student spends on that problem. Again, accuracy there is questionable because a student could have that problem up and be doing something else. So I don't usually put a lot of stock into those, but if it's been used a lot, that might be a pretty good estimate of how long that problem takes. But in terms of finding new problems to add to your assessment, that's usually what I recommend to people, is look at the problems that have been used the most and look at the new questions. Okay. And make sure you guys stop me if you have any questions or need me to repeat something. But then again, any problems you see that you like, make sure you check the box and you can just add them right into your assessment. Okay. Next, I want to talk about a couple other things. Maybe there's a problem you almost like, but you wish it was, maybe you wish the instructions were written differently or something like that. And this is kind of the, I don't know, I guess the blessing and the curse of using MOER. The blessing is you can have every problem read exactly the way you want it. So if you direct your students to do something in a certain way, you can use that same language in your homework questions, which is nice. The curse is if we start to change the directions on a problem a whole bunch of times, what we sometimes end up with is 50 versions of the same exact question. And sometimes it's hard to tell what the difference is. Sometimes you can look through those and they all look the same. So if you did want to do something like that, so let's say I really like this problem, but I wish the directions were a little bit different. Okay. So what I would do is on the action menu, you're going to template this question. And then what that's going to do is pull up the code for this question. And basically what you're going to do is just edit the instructions. Now, a problem has two boxes. The first box is kind of the code that basically tells it how to answer the question and display and stuff like that. The second part is the text. So this is the part that actually the students read when they look at the problem. So if you did want to change the directions, you would just go in here and edit, the question text to say whatever you wanted to say. So it's very easy to edit like something like instructions to make it look the way you want. You can also change videos. If there's videos in the problem and you'd want to replace them with your own videos, you just paste that URL right here and you can delete the ones that are there. So it's very easy to do something like that too. Now, what I think we would like to request, if you do this, in the question description, you should put in a note like what change you made to the problem. That way people know why there's different versions of this problem. So you should add something in here like, I changed the directions to say this or something like that. David, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if you drop down back down to the I forget whatever it's called, the question text. For some people who may look at that and say that is scary looking to me, can you toggle the editor for them so they can see the other view?
Yes. So if you hit toggle editor, this is more kind of what it really looks like. And again, you can still edit the instructions here and stuff.
And I guess I'd mentioned, Seth, what that toggling is doing is this is basically in HTML. So if anybody feels comfortable in HTML, you can code in here just fine.
Yeah. So if you like a homework question, but you want to make a small change to it, again, that's basically the process. You're going to select template. What template does is it makes a new copy of this problem. And again, I think we'd like you to maybe make a small note in the description, like what change you made to it. Because otherwise, again, we have 20 copies of the same problem and we don't really know what's different about them. So it is helpful if you put something in the description, this is why I made a copy and this is what I changed or something like that. If you think other people might like your version, don't leave it private, make it public. Change the use rights to allow use by all. That way other people can benefit from whatever improvement you may have made to the problem. Okay. Is there anything else I should say about templating a question?
The only other thing I'd say is it functions a little differently. Let's say you've copied somebody's course and you have somebody's assignment that you're using or basing yours off of. When it's in the question list for an assignment, you'll be given an option to edit a personal copy, which is just essentially the same thing, except that when you do it there, then that will replace the problem in your assignment automatically.
Yes. Oh, somebody's coming in. Okay, and then the second thing, let's say, I'll mention two other things. Let's say you're looking through problems and you find a problem that has a mistake, or let's say you don't find the problem you're looking for. Okay, so maybe there's a particular type of exercise you like to assign, but you don't find it anywhere in the question library. You could try to write the problem yourself. You could, another thing you can do if there's a mistake, in the preview of the problem, it'll tell you the author of the problem. You could email that person and say, hey, I found a mistake on this problem. That's kind of a common courtesy to give them a heads up. I know I always like to know if there's a mistake in my problem. So you'll know who to email. And then the new offer that we have is we have a link. I'll go ahead and let Adam talk about that, but we can write questions upon request and we can fix problems that are broken. You don't have to feel like you have to know how to code these problems to do that. You can just request that we do it for you. Adam, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about it, I guess, kind of quickly here. So I just posted the link in the chat. And it's pretty much as Seth said, if you have a question that you'd like that you haven't found anywhere, Or if you find a question that is close to what you want and you don't feel comfortable making the changes and creating a new one yourself, or find an error, then use that link. You do have to be logged into your Maricopa email to be able to access it. It's just a security thing, I guess. And they come to me, and then I work on those for you. So the errors, it'll ask you what priority the error is. For example, if you find an error right now for your fall course, it'll give you an option that it's an error, it needs to be fixed, but it's not live right now. If you have an error in your live course, send it to that link, and I get to those, immediately, basically. Trying to think of anything else. If you have a wish list, again, like Seth was saying, of questions, you can use that form to submit it as well. It'll step you through everything that you need to give me. And then, of course, I'll be in touch with you, because I think, like Seth said, the advantage here with MOER is that you can have the problem the way you want it. So most of the time when I do this, there's a back and forth between me and the person who's requested it to make sure that I perfect it the way you'd like it. I think that's pretty much, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks. And, I'll mention the college has been really good about supporting us working on MOER. So you do have colleagues that are receiving support to help with these sort of things. So you don't need to feel like, I'd really like a few exercises and I can't find them, but I don't want to bother somebody who's really busy. You don't really need to feel that way, because some of us are getting paid to support you with MOER. And, for people, maybe you're on the fence, like, I like the idea of switching to MOER, but, there's so many exercises that I don't have, and I just don't think it's quite as good as an assignment that I would give on my math lab or something. Again, you don't need to worry about that, because we want to create all of those exercises that you want. Ultimately, you should be able to have a class in MOER that is a better fit for what you want to do than, what you've got using some publisher website. So understand that you have support. If there are things lacking, if you want more problems, then there is a whole team of people that can write those for you. They go to Adam, and I think so far Adam has been doing fine with writing all of those questions. But if he did get backed up, then there are other people that can jump in and help with that. So you do have plenty of help. Ultimately, your class should be exactly the way you want it. That does take time, though. So don't copy somebody's class the day before classes start, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't what I wanted. Make sure if you're wanting to do a class for the first time in the fall, I think now would be a good time to get somebody's course and start looking at it and start identifying what changes you might need to make it a good fit for what you're trying to do in your class. So I think, like, this week is a really good time to get started on that. And again, you have people here that can help you if you have things that you want that you don't feel comfortable doing yourself. Okay, so don't feel like you're alone and you're overwhelmed with, I don't know how to write questions or anything like that. We can help you with that. I think that's what I wanted to say. Okay. And then once you have the homeworks the way you want them, again, we've talked about this in a couple other workshops, but over here on the left-hand side, the mass change assessments, this is where you're going to go through your homework settings and make sure that they're exactly what you want. And if you aren't sure what some of the settings are, you can always email me and ask me, and I can help walk you through that. Or you can watch some of the videos of our previous workshops where I think I've gone through all of those settings pretty thoroughly. But if you need help with that, I'm available to help you with that. Your due dates, that's going to be done under the mass change of dates. That's where you're going to set up all of your due dates. Okay, but that's essentially how you're going to make the course your own. If you have some other content or links, anything you want to add to the course, this drop-down menu, add an item, is right here. If you want to add a link to your syllabus, for example, if it is like a PDF, that would just be add a link. And right here under link type, you would do file. And then you would choose the file right here. You'll give it a title syllabus. That's how you would add your syllabus. I actually recommend, if you do your syllabus in Google Docs, then I would add that as a web link instead of a file. So you would add that as a web link, and then you'll put the sharing link to the Google Doc. I would recommend doing it that way, because that way, if you do need to make a change in your syllabus, you don't have to like remove the file, upload the new file, and all that. All the changes will essentially be live. So if you do your syllabus as a Google Doc or something like that, I would recommend linking it like that. Once you add stuff, again, you can use the quick rearrange tool. Then it's just drag and drop to reorder things. Again, if things in the class you copied aren't in the right order, you make it whatever order you want. Trying to think of what else you might want to add. If there's maybe you copied somebody's college algebra class, and maybe they don't have a section on conic sections in there, but you like to do conic sections in your class, then you would just be adding a block. So you would add a block. A block is what we call this green stripe here. It's a block with stuff in it. So you would add a block, and you would put in all the information that you want to put about conic sections. Let me go down to this block. You can just type in your objectives. You can put a link to the textbook. You can put your video links in there, and then you would be creating a new assessment. To add things in a block, you just do the same thing, but you use the drop-down menu that's inside the block instead of the one that's at the top of the course. Okay, so those are some other things you might want to add. Again, don't feel like you have to use the copy of the class somebody gave you as is. The whole point is you use that as a starting place, and then make whatever changes you feel are necessary to make sure the class meets your standards for what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, does anybody have any questions, or does anybody have anything they'd like to add?
You've got 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
The first one is, how do you make a copy and change the copy of an exam or a quiz to practice?
Okay, so you're making a copy of an exam, and you want to change the questions to practice. So the first part of that, like you just want to copy an exam from somebody else's class. The way you would start that is over here on the left, under course items, you would choose copy. And then whoever's class you're copying that from, you're going to select their name over here. So let's say I'll just say this is an Adams class. So my group, those are people from your campus. If it's somebody from another campus, that's going to be under others courses. Okay, but if it's somebody from your campus, you're just going to go to their name. You're going to select whatever course that thing is in. And then if you go down to the bottom, you're going to select course items. Oh, I need to pick one without an enrollment key. Sorry. Let me just pick one that doesn't have an enrollment key. Here's one. I'm not going to do anything, Adam. I'm just going to do a demonstration here. So if all you're copying is like one exam, you're not going to copy the whole course. You're just going to select which item you want to copy. Then you're going to find that exam in the course. You're going to check the box, and then that'll
You're not going to find an exam in there.
Yeah, that's okay. But like if this is the exam you want, you're just going to check that. You're going to go down to the bottom, and you even have a chance here to put it in the right place. That way you don't have to do the rearrange. So if you know where you want to put that, just choose which block that goes in, and then I have to move this. Then you'll hit copy items, and that'll put a copy of that exam into your course. Okay, so then the next step is, so I have an exam here. So here's the exam that I copied here. The next step is to do the same thing you did. I showed you for a homework assignment. You're going to go into the questions, and you're going to look at all the questions that are in there. The ones you don't like, you can remove, and then you can look for other questions to add if you want.
Hey, Seth, I think the question might be if you already have an exam assessment. Yeah. Can you show them how to copy the assessment within your own course, just through the gear? Like,
So just make a second copy. Yeah.
yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm interpreting the question to be you have an exam in the
Yeah.
course and you want to create like a review for that exam.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That you would make the copy and then edit the copy.
Yeah. So like if this is my real, okay, so let's say this is my real exam where I have all like my exam settings and stuff. If I want to make a practice version, yeah, I would just, under the gear, I would just make a copy of it. Okay, and then you're going to edit the copy. So the first thing I might do is go into settings, and I could call this practice test. And then if this is something you're just using for practice, then you might not want all these restrictive test settings. You might want to change it to number of times the assessment. You might change that to 100 times. You might give them 100 tries on each problem. Okay, if it's a test, you might only want them to have 1 try per problem because it's a test. But for a practice test, you probably just go in here and change these to like 100 or something like that. You don't need to give any penalties. You don't want it to count in the grade book probably, or maybe you do. I don't know. But if you didn't want this to count in the grade book, you could go down here to grading and feedback and put don't count in the grade book. Or you can count it as extra credit too. That's an option. But you have some other options here if you really want to make this a true practice test. And then again, if you wanted to put more problems in there, you would do the same thing. You would go into questions and you could add more problems to it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, we got a yes. Okay, the next question was, I think it was when you were demonstrating the add an item and you were showing the link, how to add a link or, a text or a text block or whatever. The question is how do you know what is a link, text, etc. when you're doing new item?
Okay, so a link is going to be if it's a web link or like a file that you want to basically attach to your course, we would call those links. Inline text is something where you're just going to write something. So in my example block here, this is just, I've added inline text because I just typed in the objectives here. This I've added a link because this is a link to the textbook. This is actually inline text too because I wrote this and then I added some links. So sometimes they're interchangeable, but if all you want to see is the link, you're going to add a link. If you want some other stuff and then links within that, that would be inline text. An assessment is exactly what you would think that's going to be if you're making a homework assignment or a quiz or a test. A forum is a discussion board if you want to add that. I've never done a wiki or a drill before, so I'm not that familiar with those. And again, a block is just like this pink thing. It's just a subsection where you put other stuff into it to kind of keep the home page of your course clean.
My question,
Yeah.
Seth, right there. So go down just a little bit on the screen you're sharing.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
This is the bottom.
Okay. Open up the new block
Yeah.
and go down. Okay. See those things like where the pencils are?
Yes.
What are they called?
That's assessment. These are all assessments. So these are homework assignments.
Okay. Then do the example block. Maybe it was in there.
Yeah. This is inline text.
That's what that is?
Yeah. And then this is the logo for a link. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes I want to make a block, but I don't know if that's what it is. And then other times I want to do like this inline text and I never know which is which.
Yeah.
And then
So
I make it.
Sticky note inline text. This spherical thing is a link.
Yeah.
And then this pencil thing is an assessment.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a legend anywhere, Seth, for those? Because I just realized I realized that maybe I'd run across something I didn't realize either. I learned something new there, I guess.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a legend. I don't know. I mean, documentation is something that is lacking, and it's just a matter of getting people that want to work on that in the time. We don't have great documentation yet, but hopefully that'll be coming at some point. But I don't know of any legend. No, I don't know. And by the way, these blocks too, you'll see that mine say showing collapsed always. I like to have them collapsed because, again, I like to have my home page kind of short. So it's not like they don't have to scroll a lot. And Again, that's in the settings. So if you wanted to change that, you would go to modify, and you can have them expanded all the time if you want. You can have them, again, I like them collapsed so students don't have to scroll, but if you choose show expanded, that's going to have all the blocks open all of the time. So if you prefer to just have everything open so they don't have to click on a block to open it up, then that would be the expanded view. Show as a folder, I've never really understood why you would want to do that. Maybe somebody else knows. Show as a folder is from what I understand, it's the same thing, except instead of this triangle, it just has a picture of a folder. So I don't.
So I can speak to that. I sometimes use that for courses that have if you expanded everything, it would be a mile of scrolling.
Yeah.
And so what I use that for is just chapter 2. So when they click into chapter 2, then they're looking at just the chapter 2 information that would be relevant there. So it's to address that.
Doesn't it? It just opens.
Say one more time.
I said it works the same as this though, doesn't it? If you click on the folder, it brings it up.
It brings up a new screen. So it is
okay. I guess I can change it though, so we can see. So let me make this as a folder. Okay, so now I've changed this one to a folder. So now if I click on it, oh yeah, okay. So that is a little bit different. It does take you to a new screen. Okay.
And then you use the breadcrumb.
Difference.
Right. Then you use the breadcrumb along the top to travel back.
Yeah, so if you want to go back, then you have to click on this link to take you back. So that's the difference between a folder and a collapsed block. So I like to use collapsed blocks. That way it just stays on this screen, and then you can kind of open and close it. Folder sends you to a different screen. So that's the difference. Cool.
And there is one more setting. If you pop back into that block you just created, the new block, this just came up a month or two ago. If you click into the modify, and then do you see the quick links list block in the left in student left navigation?
Okay.
So amazingly, we can't see it. Like it looks the same as us, but if you click in the student navigation, they now have
it's right there.
And so that's another neat little thing that just got added for easy navigation where we were unfortunately you can't do it based off of time. I would love to have it where on this week show this block, on this week show the next block, and have it rotate. But you could make for easier navigation, have the week's information on the left, and then it changes. And just
so each week you could put the blocks that they should be working on here.
Precisely.
And then move them the next week. Yeah. Yeah, I could see how that could be handy. It'd be nice if we could set up those releases ahead of time, but that's at least something kind of cool. Cool. Anything else anybody wants to add, or any other questions? David or Angela, anything else about making a class your own that I'm forgetting?
I can say, like, for example, you mentioned that drill. You were kind of unfamiliar with the drill.
Yeah.
And that's actually really fun type of assessment that is literally what it sounds like. It is for drill and kill. So if you put one problem in there, you can pick any problem you want, just a problem you'd want them to do over and over and over again. So you could use this in a remedial course for practicing, some skill, some specific, whatever. Oh, excuse me. Go back to the settings though, because the settings are really, really important on this. Okay. So the scoring type, do as many correct in this many seconds. And so if you hit that drop down, you'll see you have all sorts of different ways of looking at this. So me personally, I like to do this many correct in a row, so you keep doing it till you get 4 right. Or you can, and no time limit, or, you can kind of play with all these different settings. The one caveat to this is I do not believe it can go into the gradebook. It is non-graded, but you do see that they did it, and you do get the feedback of how they did. So
Okay.
just another interesting tool. And
I mean, it seems like something you could use during a virtual class meeting, I suppose, to make sure that they're still paying attention. I know sometimes I get to a point where I'm pretty sure I'm talking to myself, but so that might help. Okay, cool. So then for a student, so that you would just direct them all to look at that, select a drill to begin, and there's a time limit right there. Okay, cool.
And it does keep, it does, and when you're done, it gives you some personal feedback about your personal best, how you did this time, you know, and it kind of tracks that data for you. So you can set artificial goals or, you know, whatever, because they're not graded. So.
Well, I'm going to finish out my time to see what happens here. If anybody else has questions, feel free. All right. So I got 0 correct in 30 seconds. Congrats. That's a new personal best. I feel better already.
So the question said, does it generate different problems? So and that's the thing, is it is that one problem over and over. So it will give you
the numbers are different though. Yeah.
Different randomizations. So once you get it correct, it'll give you a new randomization. But it will always be that one problem. So now if you really want, I have gone in the code and I code my own problems. So it actually will pick between 4 or 5 problems. So for those of us who are into coding on this, all you do is you kind of put 5 problems in one and you just like say, pick a version and it just will go and grab the code for whichever. So there are ways to kind of make it. But that is not for the newbie encoding, but that is absolutely something you could put in as a request to Adam or myself or, you know, to Seth, and we could easily in 5 minutes, if you told us the problems you wanted to do it with, it would not take us long to build a drill for you that was pulling problems.
Seth,
go ahead.
If we're ready to move on, I just don't remember too many meetings this summer. Have we talked about the live poll in any of these workshops?
I have mentioned it, but I didn't like create one. Okay. Actually, I have one here. Let me see if I can show you that. I think I have one in here. Yeah. So yes, there are also, you can also do
purpose. If you want to interact with your students in these virtual like class meetings, this could be used. Yeah.
So here's a live poll. Let me see if I can get this to work. So if I start this, so basically it's similar to Kahoot or something like that, but instead of the students like texting a certain code, like you have to have them get on MOER and answer this question. So if you're having like a virtual class meeting or something, you can say, okay, everybody click on this live poll question. Maybe you could have a daily live poll question, and that's how you take attendance or something like that. So all the students would have to log into MOER and click on this live poll question, and they would just answer the question the way they normally would on the homework. And then basically, once like everybody has answered the question, the results will show, it'll show how many people said this answer, how many people said that answer. And you know, if they do good. I forget how to get it started though. I guess if I click this, so it's hard for me to show you. I'd have to log out and then log in to my student account to show you what this looks like. But basically what I just did was opened it up. So at this point, my students I would direct them all to answer this question. And then I would be able to see, like, I think I have 2 students in this class, neither of them have answered. But basically this counter right up here will show me how many have answered the question. And once all of them have answered, I would close the input. And then it's going to show me the results. Now I don't have any results to show you really because nobody did it, but you can see it'll be down here. It says 0 results received. The correct answer was C, and it tells me how many people said each of these answers. Okay, so then if everybody got it right, you know, we would have a class party or whatever. If a lot of people said, say, maybe a lot of people said this first answer, then you could have a discussion about why that's not the correct answer and stuff like that. So I do plan on using this some in the fall to see how it goes. But how you create that, again, that might be something you do daily. So you would open up your class in the morning, you know, before your students and you would add an item. This would be an assessment, actually. Is that right? Yeah, it would be an assessment. Daily, let's call this a daily live poll. And then, is that where I select here? Yeah, so this first option here under display style, we're going to call this a live poll. And you probably don't need to fill anything else out unless you want it to count in their grade. Then you're going to need to put it in a certain grade. Maybe you have an attendance gradebook category. You could put it in that attendance category or something like that. So then your next step is to put whatever problem you want. Okay, so I'm just going to pick, and you could do more than one question too. You could have 5 daily problems if you wanted to. That you could have it as many problems as you want. So we could just pick a few of these problems. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And I'm going to hit done. So now I have my daily live poll assignment. Again, once your students are all logged in and stuff like that, you're going to start the assessment. You're going to choose whatever settings you want. So there's a bunch of different options here. You're going to go over to the right, and then you're going to open it up for student input. And then once you see that all your students have answered the question, then you'll hit close, and then it will show you, it'll show you the results. It'll show you all the answers and how many people said each answer. So yeah, that's kind of that's a fairly new tool. That's been around for maybe a year or so, I think, but I don't know that a lot of people have used it yet. But I do plan on using that this fall and trying it out.
Yeah, does this open it only for one question at a time, or can they go and do all 3 of them at once?
I think for each question you open and close it, I think.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, and that's the thing we are planning at PVCC, and we love about this is if a student goes into it before you open it to the students, it just says you're waiting for your teacher to open the problem. So they have to be with you in class. They have to be paying attention because that problem doesn't become available until you click open to students.
Yep, good. All right, anything else? Any other questions or any other things you want to see or something you want to share?
Seth, there was another question in the chat about the calendar drag and drop. Do you want to demo that real fast?
Yep. So right at the top here on all these options, if you click on calendar, you can see these are like my due dates that I have in this class. If you click enable drag and drop editing, it kind of expands to show you what assignments these are, and you can change those due dates to whatever you want. Okay, you just drag and drop them to where you want. And then basically your save is right here. There's not a save link, but you have to click disable drag and drop editing. If you click on disable drag and drop editing, that's like your save. So now you can see that those due dates are saved. It doesn't change like the time. It keeps whatever time you had before. It's just strictly changing the date. If you wanted to change the time, you'd have to go into the individual assignment and change the time. Or you could do that in the mass change if you want. Like if you copy one of my classes, everything is due at 11:59 p.m. If you're more of a 10 p.m. person, the best way to change that is do them all at once under the mass change. That would still be under dates, and you would just change the 11:59 to 10 p.m. and then check all the boxes so it copies all the way down. But if all you're doing is changing the date, the drag and drop calendar is a really easy way to do that.
A follow-up question on that in the chat is how to display the whole calendar of the course. I think that question.
It's right here.
I think that's just saying how many weeks you want the students to see as a default. So it's a drop-down choice.
Yeah, so if you want the whole course, it's this. Again, it's going to take up, if you show the whole thing, students are going to have to do more scrolling to get to the content. But if you want them to see the whole thing every time they log in, that's fine too. So this is entirely your preference. But yes, this is what, if I go back to the main course, now the whole calendar is open for them. So that's really for both you and your students if you make that change, how many you want to show. And you can actually change that right here on the homepage too. I don't know if the students have an option to change that, like on their side. Oh, I guess I can switch to student mode. Yeah, it looks like a student can do that too. So if you're showing 4 weeks and a student wants to look ahead, students have this option as well. And now they can see 8 weeks ahead. So something you can let your students know is they can make that look however they want.
And Seth, right now your calendar is showing little question marks for your assignments. Do you want to show them under the assessment settings where they can change the calendar icon?
Yeah, so let's see. So if I click on this, it looks like my daily live poll, it's got a question mark. So I'm going to go to the daily live poll. I'm going to go to the settings. And somewhere in here, you can change the calendar icon. I think that's under additional display options. Yeah, see my calendar icon is a question mark. So I could change that to LP since it's a live poll. Whoops. I could change that to LP and save that. And now it shows up on my calendar as LP.
Okay, I think that covers the calendar questions. Another question is that in the chat is, what is the show as tree reader?
I don't know, but we can try
it.
But we can try it. So let me go into this block here. I'm going to go to modify. Let's show it as a tree reader and see what happens. Okay, so now it has a different icon. So if I click on this, let's see what happens. Oh boy, okay. So this is basically a list of everything that was in that block. So I guess this is good for a student that wants to jump around and not do things in order, I guess, but I don't know. I think that answers the question what it is. So it's just going to show them a link on the left-hand side to everything that's in the block, and then it'll focus on whichever one you're on. I don't know. Maybe I like that. I'm not sure if I like that or not. So many things to try. So you literally can make this your own. Okay. Good question.
Another thread in the chat is mentioning how you can put a password on an assessment so that students cannot access until you give them the password.
Yep. So any assessment has that option. You're just going to go to settings, and that is going to be under the access control block. So if I open this up, this is where you would put a password. This is where you put a time limit and stuff like that. And I'll mention this again. I think I talked about this in another workshop. If you're giving a test in MOER, I do recommend that you put a password on it. And what I do is I have them get on a Google meeting with me at test time. I wait till they all show up. That way I can see that it's them and not, some rando taking the test for somebody. So I like to see all my students on the video chat. Then I tell them what the password is. And then once they're all logged in, you can either watch them take the test or you can not. That's kind of up to you. But I do want to make sure nobody can open the test without video chatting with me first. So that's why I like to use a password, because otherwise I don't really have any other way to keep them out of the test and do that. And then I would also recommend, once they've all started, and you don't have to wait till they're done. Once everybody has started the test, you might want to come in here and change the password. That way nobody else can jump in late or do anything like that. Because I did have something before where some new student added my course somehow during the test and got in. I don't know if it was somebody working for one of the pay to take my online class websites or something. But somebody was able to get into my test while the students were taking it. So usually after all my students have started the test, I go ahead and change that password so nobody else can get in. But that's where you do that. It's under time limit and access control. Does anybody have anything else? David, Adam, Angela, anything you guys want to add? I'm going to put the link to the survey in the chat. So before anybody leaves, please make sure you spend less than a minute filling out the survey.
You know, I guess if we are done, I guess this is kind of or getting close to done. This is kind of whatever, I don't know. But when someone templates a problem, do you want to show them the libraries so they don't end up putting them all in unassigned libraries and that kind of becomes a big mess?
Okay. Yeah, so we talked earlier about how if you find a question you like almost, but you want to make a little tweak to it. Okay, so we talked about using template. So again, if I like this problem, but I want to make one little change to it, I'm going to do template. So now this is going to be my version of the question. And as I said before, if you think somebody else might like your version, you should make it public instead of private. So the way to do that is allow use by all. And then you can put it in a library. You don't have to select a library. The nice thing about when you template a question, it's going to put it in the same question that the one you copied was in. But if you want to put it in a different library, we do have all of these libraries. Some of them are by campus. Some campuses have their own libraries. Some of them are just basically by course. If it's, I added a question about combinations. So I would go into the college algebra, or I don't know, wherever, or the math 1-4, and I would add that to probability, or I don't know, wherever it fits. But you can select a library to put that question in, because some people might be searching for a question based on like a topic and maybe not really knowing what question they're looking for. You can browse the libraries. So it's good if you make a problem to put it in a proper library. And by the way, you can put a question in more than one library as well, too. If you think it fits in a couple places, you can check both of those boxes, and then you'll click up here where it says use libraries. And what that'll do is that'll change this library assignment. Anything else about that, David? Is that?
No, that's what I had in mind. And then I always just try to urge my faculty who are doing it, not my faculty, the faculty I work with, to not put it in like a PVCC specific library, but instead go into the common, like for the course itself, because that way it's easier to search and you don't have to figure out where somebody in particular was hiding it.
Yeah, so we do have a library started for each particular course. We created these maybe 2 summers ago. And you can see a lot of them don't have many problems in there yet because we just created these libraries. But as you do create copies of problems or new problems, try to include those in there. So if somebody is looking for Calc 2 problems, there'll be some stuff in there and they'll be able to find it easily. And again, you can put things in more than one library. So if you want to keep it in the Phoenix College library, but also put it in the college algebra library, you can do that. So feel free to put them in more than one library. Okay. And just again, getting fall classes ready, especially if this isn't something you've done before, I'd recommend you kind of start on that now. Ask who's got a class that you can copy. Start working on making it your own version. And if you need any help with that, you can email me. My email's right here. You feel free to email me. I'm willing to help. If it's particular homework questions that you want, use that link that Adam put in there. Feel free to request problems, or if you find things that need to be fixed, put those in there. Basically, we're here to help if you're nervous about this. I think that's what I wanted to say. Anybody else have anything to add?
Seth, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. I experienced something last week with copying an assessment, and the behavior that I experienced was completely unexpected, and I was wondering if you might have any insight into this. This was the old MOER system, so it may even be irrelevant at this point. But basically, I copied an assessment. It was going to be a test.
Okay.
Released the test to the students to work on. And then I had a copy of that and then changed the name and started changing the questions, the same amount of questions. So I just was replacing the information in there. And then realized a few days, later that the changes I made into the copy got propagated into the original. So instead of having two different assessments, I had the new assessment twice. Any idea what might have happened?
Huh. I'm not sure. Let's see what happened.
So were you, if I can jump in, Mike, were you changing the questions in there? Were you modifying the questions?
Yes, but I was going in and into the editor and just changing the question text and then changing the answers, zero. It was multiple choice.
So the
I
thing
did it
on
that way.
that,
So yeah.
yeah, the thing on that is the questions themselves are like independent of the assignment. They're in the library. So for example, if I write a question and put in one of my assignments and somebody copies my course, or even somebody else just finds my question and likes it and uses that question, if I go back, since I'm the author, and I edit that question, those changes occur to everybody using my problem in any assignment.
Okay, that must have been what happened then. I appreciate it.
I have found actually that I found some problems that have settings that allow anybody to edit them. They seem to be pretty rare, but they're out there. So again, I would, like Seth showed, I would use the template or edit personal copy if you want to modify for your own question.
Yeah, because if you change the question, you're changing that for every assignment that question is in. So if that's not your intent, then you want to either use template or edit your personal copy. That is going to make a new version with your edit, and it should leave the old version alone.
Okay. I don't think that propagated to anywhere else outside of my course because those assessments were created for that specific course just for this summer session. So it was just that particular instance then that occurred. But okay, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we're almost to 2 o'clock. If you have other questions, let me know. If not, thank you for joining us, and make sure you fill out the survey before you leave. But if you have other questions, I have some more time. I can stay on for a bit. But I wish you all a good fall. It's going to be hard, I think, but I don't know. Hopefully this is temporary.
And I will do a little plug. This concludes our summer sessions that we had planned to do. But I know I've started working on, I think Seth has started working on, and probably other people too, just some general how-to videos walking you through individual skills. So that at some point, once we get that spreadsheet all worked out, that'll be coming out as well. So we're going to have a quick reference type guide where you can kind of click through and say, how do I do that again? And we're hoping to have that ready in the near future.
Yeah, and let me add to that. So I found it, if I'm going to make tutorial videos, it would be really helpful for a lot of the features. If I had a bunch of assignments that had a bunch of students actually take them, because I don't want to use like my actual students. I want them to be like, I guess, colleagues. So if you would be willing to like go into a class I make for video purposes and like do some homework, maybe just for fun, you find that fun, maybe reach out to me and I'll add you to a course and I'll ask you to just do some homework assignments, because that way I can actually make better videos and show what I'm talking about, rather than, so imagine I had a bunch of students who answered this question correctly. Here's what it'd be better if I had actual results so we could make some better videos. So I think we could all benefit from having a course made for training purposes that has some student results in it that we can actually like share, if that makes sense. So if any of you might be willing to spend some time doing some homework just for fun, maybe let me know and I'll add you to a training course.
Seth, we can put that in our MOER steering team meetings as well.
Yeah. So that's coming. I think it'd be nice to have a big group of people do some homework so we can make better training videos.
Seth, there's a question from Jackie in the chat, and actually I got this question through a problem request this summer too about, what do the settings need to look like if you're authoring your own questions so that no one else can edit them? I don't know if you can show that.
Well, you would just want to keep it private, I think.
No, it's on the, well, maybe if you just pull up a problem there.
Yeah.
The default is if you edit a question, unless you change it, it should be that no one else can edit it. But you can actually change the question setting if you want someone else to do it. So just go to change settings. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong one. Edit it, I guess. Yeah.
Template. Yeah.
I'll do edit personal copy. Okay.
Okay, so if you go up under the use rights, where it says private, yeah. So
okay.
Use by all, but if you're writing it, use by all means anybody could actually use it. But if you want somebody to be able to modify it for some reason, then you'd select one of the other ones.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you don't want people to, so if you do allow use by all, that will allow other people to use your question, but they won't be able to edit it. You would be able to edit it, and like whoever has admin rights can edit it, but that's very few people. And nobody would do that unless they told you first. I'm relatively certain. So as long as you're not choosing one of these last two options, nobody should be able to edit your question, if that's what you're asking.
And I think that is. And then I just wanted to point out that at least that's how I interpret it. And then I wanted to point out the group, just to make sure everybody's clear. The group is your college. So. Or the college that you've been assigned to, and more. I know some adjunct are, teaching at multiple campuses. So if you do allow modifications by group, that's for me, that would be anybody at PVCC. So.
Yep. But yeah, if you just do allow use by all, nobody can modify it except you and like somebody with admin rights. If you have it on private, that means nobody's going to see your problem when they search for problems. Like that means literally you're the only person using the problem. So again, if you think other people might like your problem, you should do allow use by all. But you probably don't want to use these because then people can mess with your question, if that makes sense.
And then there was another question that came up in the chat from Irene. It was just a short question on the essay. It's a specific problem number if you want to search for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's problem 67634. Look at that. That was it looks like it may be one of yours.
Hey, that's mine. Yeah.
All right. And the question was, could you insert that? It says, could you insert that student cannot insert as JPEG?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think you can.
I think it's just a generic file upload. I don't think you can. I don't know of any way to limit what kind of file. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, if there is a way to do that. My guess is no, there's no way to do that, but I don't know.
My question, and this is, I don't know, is there a way to make it so it'll accept multiple files for upload, or is it just one file per problem?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I suppose I could just do multiple answer, but if I was expecting more than one file, I could just do another answer box.
Does that work? I guess, I can mess with it. You don't have to mess with it. I'll write a problem.
No, I mean, I would just copy and paste this and make an answer box 1. And then under answer types, I would put file, comma, file. And then that would have 2 of the file selections. So yeah, that would be easy to do. Now, I don't know if as is, I don't know if students can click on it more than once and attach multiple files. My guess is no, but I don't know. I guess I could try it.
Maybe if you allowed multiple attempts or something, I guess maybe they'd show up as different attempts.
I mean, I just wonder if once they submit it, if they can click on it again and submit another one. I'm not sure. Let me I can try that. Let's see. I don't know what kind of file.
I'm thinking
don't know.
I had a similar experience. I think I had an experience with that Irene's getting at, which was when I was having them upload pictures of their work, I had to teach them how to take multiple pictures and put them into a zip file, or scan them into a PDF, or like I was trying to I had to go through all these different ways. And then have we gone over the view work or that's new setting that just got added in?
I don't know if we've done that or not. I think we talked about it. I don't know if we showed it.
So if that's what you're experiencing, Irene, I did have some luck with the. Do you want to enable show work? Because that actually might for the people who are in this uploading document discussion. If this is the concern, if I'm in the right place, I'm hoping Irene chimes in and says yes or no. This may help with that scenario if we enable it.
So
it's a setting. It's a course setting. It's a assignment setting.
An assignment setting. Okay. So I go into the assignment settings. So go to settings. And then where is that?
Additional display options, I believe.
Yeah. Provide show work boxes during assessment, after assessment, during or after assessment.
I would just do during or after right now, just so we know we can see them. Just, so regardless of your settings, we can see them. And then if you click in as the student, maybe you can do it from that view. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah. So when you do the add work here, now they can do the little paperclip, and they can drop in as many things as they want, whatever format they want.
Or if it's just pictures on their phone, they could just add images, and they could do multiple right there. Yeah, that would be another way to do it.
I found that was one of the things I found we had a hard time with this summer. The students were having a hard time doing multiple images from their phone. They kept overwriting the first one.
Oh.
So and
they might need to press enter after the first picture.
Yeah, that was exactly it. You have to do one, hit enter. Where with the paperclip, it just puts like a little link there. But for us, you can expand them, and they upload the file, and you can expand them. So it was relatively easy on my end to view the pictures and the PDFs. I didn't have to download too much.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Irene gave us feedback. Yes, that's what she was looking for. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
I will say another, just for people in this realm, because I know we're all kind of going into this, I also discovered MOER will not, what was it? For the images, it will not accept Apple's new format, the new file format. And I had to teach my students how to change the settings in their phone to turn them into JPEGs. So be ready, tech support.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else. So if nobody else has anything else, enjoy your weekend and good luck this semester.
Thank you so much for doing this, Seth. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.